Here we are in this house. You might be thinking, wow, he must mean the house he lives in. But no, I'm talking about the body that I live in, I being a spirit, you being a spirit that dwells in a body, in other words, a house, or it's often called a tabernacle in the scriptures. Peter and Paul calling his home, his house, his body, the body that he now lives in on this earth as calling this a tabernacle, in other words, a tent. So in his own words, for we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, what it means here is by dissolved would be his body. He's thinking, well, one day this body is going to die. And in this, when a body dies, it disintegrates in the grave, or if it was drowned in water and was buried at sea, whichever, still it would dissolve. If you were cremated, well, still you would be dissolved. So dissolved is a very good word regarding laying aside your tabernacle, your body, as St. Peter put it, that he would one day lay aside this tabernacle, lay aside this tent. So in a sense, gone camping, you come out of the tent and you lay the tent aside and go on about your duties or life into the next life, as in Peter's case. And Paul here talking about putting aside and laying off and putting off, dissolving or the death of the body, and then going on into immortality, so receiving a new body, a new immortal body, as opposed to a mortal body. So he goes on to say, for we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, an house, not made with hands, so it's not made with human hands, it be spoken into existence by God himself, eternal in the heavenlies, eternal in the heavens, which means this body, this new body that you will receive from God himself, God making this body, and not human hands, not through the normal procreation that we have here, but God speaking your new immortal body into existence. For in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house, which is from heaven. So in other words, I guess here Paul is probably getting old. He has many aches and pains in his body, and he had a tough life. So he's groaning in himself, looking forward to his house, his new body, his immortal body, which is from heaven, as he puts it. If so that being clothed, we shall not be found naked. In other words, in this life you have an opportunity to receive what is commonly called salvation. Salvation meaning you can have everlasting life, saved from an awful fate of simply dying and going to the underworld of Hades. You can be given a new life in another realm and eventually a new body, a new immortal body, what is called, also commonly called the rapture or the resurrection, a resurrected body. A new body, a body that will never get old, a body that will be immortal, a body that couldn't and won't ever be corrupted. In other words, get ill and die. For we that are in this tabernacle, in other words, tent, this body, do groan, being burdened, so weighted down by the weight of the flesh. Not for that we would be unclothed. So in other words, he's not saying, look, not talking suicide here. We're talking about looking forward to a new body, in this sense, clothing, that your spirit will be clothed upon with this new body. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened, not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon, that mortality, this mortal body, in other words, might be swallowed up of life. In other words, this mortality, this mortal body might be swallowed up of life. So in other words, receive a new body, a new immortal body. For this mortal must put on immortality. And this corruptible, this body that can get ill and die and have so many illnesses and all this, dissolve eventually, must put on incorruption. So praise Jesus.